Okay, I'm Luke, this is Billy and this is Owen, and we're here today to talk about our current plan for Bridgewater and Albion RFC. So we're a rugby club, and we've implemented a plan for the next 3 years. Okay, and just to give you a little bit about the club, we were founded in 1875, so of course we're a very, very long running club, and we have a youth section and a senior section. So our youth section ranges from about 5 to 16 years old, and at the moment we have most age groups in between all of them, and if not, the players do play for another club, so it's not like if there's no age group in their place they don't get a game or anything, they join with others. And at the moment we have 3 senior sides, so we have a first team, a second team, and a third team. The first team are in Tribute South Mon West, the second team are in Somerset Premier, and third team are in Somerset to South, and we have a paid first team coach. So he takes training for all 3 teams on a Tuesday and a Thursday, but we'll go with the first team on a Saturday. So the club is heading towards its 140th anniversary, and what we want to do is secure the longevity of the club and make sure that we are running for another 140 years. Is that true? So there's just a bit more about us. We are a limited company, so as well as being a rugby club, we are a business, and we do hire out the hall, etc. to weddings, funerals, birthdays, all of this. So as you see, I said we had a paid first team coach. Membership is a very important source of income for us. Adult membership is about £70, and you have a concession of students for £60. And we do currently have in place that you can pay weekly as opposed to paying in one go. I'll talk about that a bit more in a second. We also have youth membership where it's £30, and if another child from the same family were to be a member as well, that would be £20 for another one, okay? So to give you a rough idea, we have 60 members of the senior section, so that brings in around £4,100, and there are also about 175, I think, members of the youth section, so that brings in about £6,500, that is with that deal as well. So our sustainability target is to make £200,000 profit a year, and we've based that on the profits of previous years and where we stand and how much the club costs to run. So we also want to increase the participation, not just in the youth section, but in the senior section, so we get more people from the town playing. And we do also with that have a link with the college, so the college pays to use our facilities, and in turn they encourage players to come play for the club.
The club visions, as the one youth vision has to have a high quality junior club that maximise the potential for young athletes to participate in external sport. So we also have a vision to have a high quality senior team who welcome all in close form club community whilst always maximising player potential. So we plan to bring in young and senior players to the club so we can welcome them to rugby and make them a lot better as a player. Also bringing in coaches as well if we could, so that could make them a better coach as they already are.
The club values, so it's an open and inclusive club, so it's welcome to obviously all ages and genders. We value the contribution of all the club volunteers, so that may be in the youth section, so people helping out in training or on match days with like food after the game or bar staff. Also, we look at the values of like the players, so teamwork, respect, enjoyment, discipline and sportsmanship. So this is both like on and off the field through all age groups, so making sure, well, definitely enjoyment, that they are enjoying their rugby when they first start playing, they still are when they get to adult as they are playing more competitively. The target audience, we did some research based on the common type of person in our area. So typically it's male, aged 18 to 24, normally single, professional graduate. And as well as this, for our youth section, it was aged 6 to 16.
And this is just a rough of what is typical of the area. We do also have people outside of these ages, different occupations, etc., and we do cater to everybody, but this is what the research showed the most common type of person would be in our area. So with that research, we also looked at the English indices of deprivation. and so we got a bit of a feel for what the area was like. So with the first place being most deprived, 23,844 being the least deprived, Sedgemoor ranks as 138. So it is quite deprived. It's not the most, it's definitely not the least. It is quite deprived. So we need to think about how we can incorporate that into our club. So with income deprivation, Sedgemoor is ranked 158. So what I talked about this was how membership, how we can pay it off week by week. So people might not have £70 to pay membership straight away. So we introduce a payment plan which is weekly, so you can pay either £3.50 or £7 a week. And that also goes for the youth section with, of course, parents, if they've got 2 children, that's £50. They might not have £50, they might want to spread this over a certain amount of weeks. We also, employment deprivation, Sedgemoor is ranked 163. So with this again, there's a bit about income, but also we supply jobs in the club as we have paid bar staff. So we're frequently looking for staff to do bar work. And also with this, our sponsors will use our club to advertise first. So if they've got frequent vacancies, which they do, they come to us and we can advertise their vacancies. So people within the club can look at that and go for the job. Education, skills and training deprivation is quite low, 85, and that's where our link with the college comes in. The college use our pitches to help with courses and education, and sometimes some of the function rooms are used for classroom sessions, and there are courses that do happen in the club, and we are used quite a bit for coaching courses and refereeing courses. So other ones are health deprivation, crime, barriers to housing and services, and living environment, which again is quite low. So we just ensure that we keep a warm, welcome and safe club, where everybody feels a part of the club and feels safe. And how that compares to the other areas: South Somerset 180, West Somerset 208, and Taunton Dean 163. So they're all quite similar in Somerset, so all the clubs are sort of aiming at a similar audience.
These are the strengths for the club. The function room, the gym, bars, floodlights and the change rooms. The function room can be used for many things. It can be used for events such as weddings, funerals to be held after. The gym can be used by players and of course used by members of the public. The bars tend to get busy on match days, also with weddings, funerals. The floodlights allow the team to play night games, so it's more of a race so they can fit all their games in. The change rooms obviously for the 2 teams to get changed in. Also, the bar and the function room is very popular, so we make a lot of income from that. And also it's a well organised community.
And all we say about the gym is there's just a £5 deposit for a key. It's just a small gym with a few weights, there's not much cardio in there. It's just a small gym and we say £5 for a key. Okay, so it's not exactly a membership fee, you just pay for the key and then members can use it.
The weaknesses of the club, the lack of qualified coaches in the junior section, that's mainly just due down to, that's more parents helping out on match days, getting kids to games and stuff, so it'd be good if we can obviously get more people on coaching courses so we can make sure they're developing their skills early on. No provision for indoor training, so obviously if the weather does get bad, like the pitch can flood and then it could be the, say, 1, 2, maybe even 3 weeks of training goes missed because we've got nowhere to go indoors to do, even if it's just circuits or just basic ball handling skills. And finally, social media opportunities have not yet been capitalised on. So there is a Facebook page, but it's not used very often, and there aren't other types of social media that are used, because obviously not everyone, but quite a majority of the club are on social media, so it's a good way to publicise the club so people can find out more about us.
Okay, and in our sport analysis we also looked at opportunities. So there are several community and sports centres around the area that do have sports halls that we can hire for some indoor training. So for example, there's one down the road, we calculated probably cost about £500 from November to March to use this indoor training. But also with that as well, the RFU are funding 100 new 3G pitches for rugby clubs in the country. So this would be very beneficial, not just for us, but for the college, for the youth section, for the youth games, school games that happen on our pitches. So this would be very good for the whole town. And so in our plan and our bid to the RFU for funding for that, those are the things that we'll drive. And also another opportunity is that social media, the popularity is always increasing, and so that we need to advertise our products and our facilities on that, and our clubs, just to get people more involved. Okay, so the threats of that are that there are 2 other local youth clubs in the same area. There's North Petherton Morganians, and people do leave to go to these clubs. A lot of time in the youth section, they'll go where all their friends are. So in recent times, we have made Bridgewater Albion the place to be, but in some ages, they will go to North Petherton instead. So how we fix this is we want to get more youth coaches in and be the place. So another threat is that other venues and clubs are thriving on social media. So for example, if a parent is looking for a rugby club for her child and North Petherton are using social media better than us, they're more likely to go there because the parent will see that first and think, all right, yeah, okay, I can see that, and she might not know about our club. So we need to make sure we're constantly and regularly just giving the information to everybody who's on social media. Another threat is the lack of upcoming senior coaches. We have a paid senior coach at the moment, and we have an unpaid second team coach. However, if the first team coach were to leave for work reasons, because it's not a full-time job, then we would be left without a first team coach, and probably our second team coach might have to stand up, but then we'd have nobody in that role. So we're looking to, and they've started, for senior players to do their coaching courses, and so they can be player coaches as we've had in the past.
Club management. So our main aim is to manage the club in an effective and efficient manner. This is how we intend to do this. So improving communications, as in from the chairman and then obviously the members of the committee. So making sure those people are constantly talking with each other on ideas of how they can obviously go about improving the club. Host more fundraisers, so that way, as well as generating more money for the club, it also puts the name of the club out there, because it could be like a fun run kind of thing down at the ground, or just activities like that where people then come down to the club and then get to see what it is like at Bridgewater and Albion. Once again, run a successful social media account so people can find us. The last one, be tighter on expenditure, because we do know that first team players are being paid, but we just feel like if we can obviously cut that out if we feel it's not necessary, it can help obviously keep more money at the club that we can put into different sections, such as paying for people to go on coaching courses to help with the youth section and obviously the adult section.
Coaching. Our main aim is to provide quality coaches throughout the club. This is how we plan to do this. So I have 2 qualified coaches for each age and youth section, so this will make the coaches better coaches if they do this for experience, and also make the players better rugby players. To support aspiring support coaches, senior coaches, so the level 2 qualified coaches could help the senior coaches with the first team or the second team, and to have plenty of volunteer coaches in youth section assisting the head coaches. So if the volunteer coaches help the juniors, they can move on up and up and up to the first team, maybe the second team, so they can support the head coaches.
Okay, and the club facilities. At the club, we aim to give not only our players and members, but customers a great sense of all the facilities and let them use most of them. Okay, but we plan to improve this because we want to keep improving. So there's a certain amount of ones we want to do. Firstly, we want to book that indoor venue for training to make sure that there's not cancelled training in the winters for the youth section and the seniors. So we're looking at the local Bridgewater College Academy Sports Centre, booking that from November to March, and that costs roughly £500, and that would be down to the club secretary to do that, and we want that completed by July 2017, so that ready for next season we have that booked all year round, so that for next season, when bad weather comes, that's booked and we can go there when we need it on those days. We also want to apply to receive funding for those 3G pitches from the RFU, and again that will be down to the committee and the secretary, as well as the chairman and the president. That is a really big club thing to receive that funding, because that would make such a huge impact on games not getting called off anymore, because that would just, games don't get called off. They do have one at Bridgewater College Academy, and we could look into renting that out as well from November to March if we did want to be outside and not have games called off. But also with that, well, that one was to be completed by September 2019, because of course it takes quite a long time. We want, hopefully by September 19, to receive the grant and start building by then. Also, we want to implement drainage and irrigation systems at the club, because we do get quite a lot of flooding during the winter seasons, so we do have games called off. So as well as that, we want to stop dry pitches, etc., because it doesn't just affect us, it affects our bookings. We have a big booking, which is Summer Rock, each year, and that always completely ruins the pitch. So we need that pitch. We've only got around two-week turnaround to the start of the season, so we need a system in place to make sure the pitch remains really good, and that would cost around £10,000, and that would be down to the committee, the secretary and the groundsman. So the groundsman would have to implement it all and keep going through with it, and we want that one done for April 2018, and that's for both pitches. So even if we do have the first team pitch gets a 3G pitch, then the second team pitch still has that system to make sure that it's still usable. And our final one was to improve gym equipment. The gym, the dumbbells and weight equipment in there were rusting, so we wanted to reward the members with new gym equipment, and that was aimed to be completed by the end of this year and was completed in July 2016. So that was down to, again, the secretary on the finances and the committee organising this and getting the new equipment in.
The workforce, so the workforce of the club, we plan to have sufficient workforce to help support the club. So obviously those such as paid roles and volunteering roles, so bar staff, coaches, player coaches, everyone on the committee knowing their role within the club. So this is making sure they're like adding in new plans and like keeping fresh ideas. Instead of every, say, 2 to 3 years, we're still coming up with the same ideas, making sure people are bringing in new ones. Maintaining the coaching quality. So this is again making sure we've got obviously RFU qualified coaches and making sure we're getting more people onto these coaching qualifications. And so then obviously we can bring the quality of the players up as well. AGM plan and contingency plans. So obviously making sure we've got someone that's ready to step into a position in case someone decides they want to leave or drop out from their role in the club.
Yeah, and just with that, at the AGM every year, there is a vote on all the positions and committee members and the president and chairman, etc. And there's a vote yearly for who is the best person for the job. So it's not incredibly outdated. Each year there's a chance for that person to be replaced if the committee or if all members are welcome to the AGM meeting, so all members get a vote, and it is up to all of them who they think is best for the job.
Marketing, we aim to promote the club so a wider audience knows what is going on at Bridgewater and Albion to increase the position and revenue. So to create a social media account that I've talked about, so other people know who are on social media that the club is about and what they do. Also the events we hold, such as Summer Rock, maybe rugby events so people can come down and see what we're about. Visit schools, so younger children know that there is a rugby club around the area. Also sponsors, you can sponsor the club so more money comes in for the club. You can sponsor players, so players can still get paid more. Yeah, that's about it.
And just with that, in the schools we do currently have 3 or 4 senior players who work in the schools around the area. So we're planning for them, what they do at the moment is they do taster sessions, in like PE sessions when they do rugby. They say this is what the club is like, give a feel for the club and what we do at the club. So if they enjoy it in school, they can come then to the rugby club, which is what is being encouraged. And the sponsors, we currently have, I think, 23 sponsors. So that massively cuts our expenditure as these fund like kit, the floodlights, some of the facilities, etc. Okay, and then youth participation. We really want to increase youth participation, and it has increased year on year so far, but we're increasing by about 10 or 20 each year. So we want to get a lot bigger than this, and we've got a few ways of doing it. Firstly, we want to form a link with the sport partnership, or namely SASP. So what SASP do is SASP go around schools and they bring sports into schools, after school sessions, in school sessions, etc. And they also hold like fundraisers. So if we could bring them with us, they could come in, do sessions, and then tell these children these sessions you can do at Bridgewater and Albion. They already do a thing called Rugby Tots, which is for little children, I think about 5 to 7, and they teach them little bits about rugby, the little basics of rugby, and that is taught by a player of the club. So then that player can say, if you want to play some more, you can come along to Bridgewater and Albion on a Sunday. So, and also the fundraisers that they do be a good income for the club, as we'd split this with SASP, so that they have their funding, and so do we, because their main goal as a company is to increase the participation in sport, and as we want to do this too, it makes sense to work together. And this would be down to the secretary and the chairman to work together on, and the committee, and we want this ideally done by July 2018. Another aim is we think we can provide prizes for consistent participation. Again, this is another thing from SASP. SASP do, in the after school sessions, if you go to 15 sessions, they'll give you either a t-shirt, a cinema voucher, a train ticket, or something like that. So that people come every time and they're excited to get their card stamped to say that they've been to the session because they really want one of them. And we think just giving these small prizes that would only cost about £5 or £10 per prize will give a lot more buzz to the youth participation, and a lot of people want to come a lot more and frequently. So we ideally want this done by September 2018, and this is down to the youth committee to organise. And our final one, we want to advertise on social media, as we've explained before. We want to advertise on social media, on the website, which is down to the web officer to do both. And we also want to use word of mouth. Word of mouth is very big with the club, with friends talking to other friends about where they play their rugby, and also through taster sessions with the teachers going into the schools and delivering those taster sessions. So we ideally want that done by the end of this season, which is April 2017.
Adult participation. We also aim to increase levels of adult participation. So if players want to join, they can have discounts, advertisement on social media, Facebook, Twitter maybe, so people know more about the club. Social events, so we could hold a rugby kind of taster day so adults can come down and join in. And providing events in villages not accessible to the club. So we go out to villages not around the Bridgewater area, so people in, say, that's Cannington, we go out to Cannington, do taster sessions, talk to some players out there and see if they want to join.
Social and fundraising, we aim to improve the amount of social events and members we have at the club. We can do this by holding more events for the club. So I know already they want to do a ladies' day and then obviously a club dinner at the end of the year. So possibly holding more events for even those such like just social members. It doesn't always have to be for players or parents. Continue to host lots of external events, so such as weddings, funerals. We do have Summer Rock as well, which has been mentioned, which is a big one for us, which does generate a lot of money by renting out the field. And then to continue hosting club events and fundraisers, so that's just like fun days at the club, so that can just be like a fun run around where obviously youth and adult players come down and there's just loads of different activities on for the day, where then also the youth players can meet the adult players and see what sort of things they do as well.
Okay, and finance. So as I said earlier, our goal is to make £200,000 annually profit. And so we do this a number of ways. Our main source of income is bar sales. Our bar sales are very high, and through the bar we make income of about £275,000, but minusing bar costs with staff and the actual cost of it all, it goes down to about £175,000. So the bar makes around £2,000 a night, so we thought, how can we keep this high or improve it? And what we did this year was we introduced a happy hour, which is actually 2 hours. So our main issue was that after the game, people would just go, and we thought, how can we keep people? And so this happy hour runs from about 5 to 7, which is typically after when the game would finish, and it's just a 10 or 15% discount on all drinks for those 2 hours. And being a member, you already get 10% discount, so you get 25%. So we still calculated that we still make a profit from all of these drinks. We're still not losing anything, but it also gets a lot more people to stay, and so we're making a lot more sales through these hours. And then once they're there from 5 to 7, they will stay then for the majority of the night. And so our bar sales are going up by £300 or £400 a night. We also want to increase the amount of fundraisers we do. At the moment, we do it sort of every 2 or so months. We want to do one at least every month, if not fortnightly. So we have, for example, a gentleman's dinner, a ladies' night, we have comedians, we have singers, we have end of season do's, and this isn't just for the members of the club, this is for the public as well. So if mums fancy a ladies' night out, or we have like young farmers often come to the gentleman's dinner, or a bunch of friends come to the gentleman's dinner, they can. And our cost of this is about £200 a night just to cover bar staff and food, etc. But we normally make, from a function, we normally make around £1,500 a night. So of course the profit margin is quite high. And so this is the long-term target by January 2018. We want it to increase. And the bar sales is the same because we want the increase to last a long time. It is a long-term target. So the bar manager is responsible for both of these, as he introduced happy hour and he is in control of the bar and the function rooms, but also the secretary deals with bookings. Okay. We also want to decrease unnecessary spending. What we talked about a bit earlier with players being paid. At this level, it is clear that players should not be being paid wages. They should only be paid for their expenses, to cover expenses. So really, we should be cutting this out. And so we plan to cut this out pretty soon. So this money can go back into the club, and the players are aware that they should be being paid, and they know that this is okay. So we plan to do this by January 2018, or the end of the next season, so that we're just limiting it to expenses. And some players are paid by sponsors, which is out of our hands. Some sponsors feel necessary to pay the players to keep at the club. So this is down to the secretary and the chairman and the committee in general to let the players know, because they need to tell the coach that he should not be saying that they can be paid. So another thing is to ensure the amount of external bookings remains or increases, as again this is a really big source of income for us. Weddings, funerals, birthdays, work functions. We have quite a high number of them, and so we thought, how can we make sure this stays the same or increases over a period of time? So there's a deal now that if you spend £1,500 behind the bar in a night, you'll get £100 back. And most functions spend around this, and so they feel a bit better then when they get £100 back. So, and also if you spend £1,000 behind the bar in a night, you get £50 back. It sounds like a lot of money, but behind the bar that gets taken quite frequently. So that is down to the bar manager to introduce that. And the last one is probably the most important, is to introduce a sinking fund. This is very important for the club. Around 10 years ago, the club went into administration from factors like paying players when we shouldn't have been. So what we plan to do now is take 10% of each month's profits and set that to one side into a sinking fund, so that if the club were to go into trouble again, we'd have a big pot of money that could get us out of it. And so we hope to do this, start doing this by the end of the season in August 2017, and that is down to the secretary, the chairman, and even the president. It is really high because it's very important to the club. and it ensures the longevity of the club remains.
And these are all the club contacts that we have used. Is there any questions?
And did you say you had a women's team?
Yeah, they are, I think it's 11 to 18 at the moment. So there's not a women's, but it's sort of schoolgirls age.
You said the youth participation goes up by 10 or 20
Yeah.
youth players. Do you know the dropout rate from those youths as
At the
well?
moment, because the dropout rate isn't very big, because we have a Colts team, they go from 16 straight into the Colts team. That's all their mates do. It's normally about 4 or 5 people per age group don't go into the Colts. And then the big drop-off age is from the Colts to the senior team. I'd say around 70% drop out then, but factors like that are going off to university and going into full-time work. So we do talk to the players and try and keep them, but if they're going to university, of course, we can't sort of stop them from going to university. But when they come back, then they obviously come back into the club.
I've got a question for Owen. You mentioned, I've seen your plan, which is excellent. You mentioned in your plan about increasing participation, and you mentioned about going into villages, and you mentioned Cannington. I'm just interested, where will those sessions be held?
We'll find like a local park or something, or somewhere where like a field, what can like provide that.
And is that aimed at adults or juniors?
Everyone, every age group, and just put them into like separate like age ranges, like across like a day.
Because obviously in your development plan here, it's under your adult participation section, and not your junior participation section. So it's all across all ages. And then I've got a question for Luke. How are you going to make sure that your plan stays on track? Because you've got lots of deadlines.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you going to do to make sure that you stay on track?
So regular meetings with the committee. The committee meet every month, and we're discussing each plan and how far we are. The relevant people will be there, so like the bar manager, the secretary, and we talk through each plan and what stage we're at with it. So if we think we're going to be on task, what's in motion at the moment, and if we think it's still realistic to do it.
And you mentioned that the committee are in charge of everything within your plan. It's quite a comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Okay, have you divvied up roles, particularly in the committee, so people are in charge of certain parts? Or?
Yeah, because there's youth committees as well. The youth committee, we assign all the sort of goals aimed at the youth section, and each person will have a certain one that they're working towards. Otherwise, we've got one person doing 4 or 5. So each person has a specific aim or 2 to work on, and so at these meetings, everyone is talked to individually with regards to support, etc., at how it's all going.
I've got one other question. When the club went into administration 10 years ago, because is it a new club, or is it the club just got taken out of administration?
Got taken out of administration.
When it got taken out, did the liquidators enforce a sinking fund then, or did they just allow them to? Because normally they would enforce a sinking fund to ensure that it wouldn't happen in the future.
Yeah, they started doing that, and it started a sort of low rate, but we wanted to increase that to 10% because we're not sure how much is actually being kept to, because the paying of players, that's the main thing that worries the club, because that's what sort of kick-started us being into administration. So we want to cut that and sort of put the money into that sinking fund.
Okay, and question for Billy. In terms of your workforce, one of your big threats is suddenly if your workforce will leave, okay, and especially if players don't like the fact of not being played, what happens if they all walked out? What would you do then? So how are you going to ensure the sustainability of the workforce side?
Well, I suppose we'd have to hopefully just rely heavily on people hoping to volunteer, to then obviously step into those roles, and then hopefully if they do, we could possibly then look to pay them. But we just kind of, we'd need to hope that people were more than happy to volunteer. If not, then that was when we'd have to look outside of the club to then to bring people in to have to pay them.